Bonjour et bienvenue à tous et à toutes à ce webinaire Maximisez votre influence, devenez coachpreneur. Je suis Ezekiel Terol, cofondateur et président de la Job Maxwell Team français. Et aujourd'hui, j'ai l'immense plaisir, honneur et privilège de vous présenter deux hommes qui sont mes associés, mes amis et mes mentors depuis des années. Il s'agit de Chris Robinson, président de la Job Maxwell Team internationale, et de Christian Simpson, mentor et créateur de la méthode Maxwell de coaching à la Job Maxwell Team internationale. Tous les deux vont vous expliquer aujourd'hui quelle est l'opportunité pour vous de créer, développer ou relancer une activité professionnelle de coaching rémunératrice à la hauteur de vos espoirs et qui vous permette d'ajouter de la valeur aux autres en même temps que vous créez de l'abondance et une vie épanouie pour vous et votre famille. À la Job Maxwell Team, nous avons une vision qui est d'aider les personnes à développer leur qualité de leader et leur mindset et de les équiper et les inspirer pour créer de la transformation pour eux, leur famille, leurs équipes, leur organisation et leur pays. Et ainsi pouvoir vivre une vie accomplie et épanouie. Alors, si vous avez un cœur de leader-serviteur, si vous souhaitez ajouter de la valeur aux autres, en même temps que vous créez de l'abondance pour vous et votre famille, vous êtes au bon endroit. Alors, sans plus tarder, je vais vous laisser avec Chris Robinson et Christian Simpson, qui vont vous parler de comment maximiser votre influence en devenant coachpreneur. À bientôt.
Hello, everyone there. Chris Robinson here. I am the Executive Vice President of the John Maxwell Team, and welcome to today's call, Maximize Your Influence. We're going to be talking about becoming a coachpreneur today with our very own Maxwell Method of Coaching mentor, Mr. Christian Simpson. So, Christian, where in the world are you today, and how are you doing, man? Great to have you on.
It's great to be with you, Chris. I'm really well. Thank you for asking. That's a pretty important question to ask to everybody at the moment with the way the world is. But as regards to where I am, I'm in beautiful, full blooming, gorgeous England. And it's sunny. You wouldn't believe it, would you?
That I wouldn't, man. I'm glad to hear that you're okay, man. How's the family doing?
Everyone's great, Chris. Everyone's really, really well. So very grateful.
Well, great to hear, man. So, I'm glad you and your family are doing well. Excited, to host this with you as well today. And for everyone on with us today, we're in for a real treat to really take a look at some of the professional benefits, rewards, and opportunities of becoming a professional coach. And, this call is timely and more relevant than ever. So you want to make sure that you grab a pen, your notebook, so you don't miss a thing. And I also want to encourage you to stay with us until the end because we're going to have something special for you to share with you later. So let's jump right in to learn from our expert here today, Mr. Christian Simpson. So we can pull that slide up right there. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Christian Simpson and just a phenomenal mentor and friend of mine. And, he's the creator and the teacher of the Maxwell Method of Coaching and the faculty mentor for the John Maxwell Team Certified Coaching Program. Who you learn from matters more than what you learn. And no one's more qualified than Christian Simpson to help you become highly successful in the coaching business. He's the world's leading coach and mentor to professional coaches. And in the last 2 decades, he's trained almost 40,000 coaches to the highest standards in the industry. Not only that, Christian is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the coaching business. He teaches, trains, and mentors independent professional coaches on how to build a highly profitable 6- and 7-figure coaching business so they can reach and serve a much bigger audience, enjoy much greater wealth, prosperity, and freedom as a consequence of that. There's a great reason why the biggest names in the self-improvement industry hire him for his expertise and why thousands of professional coaches from every corner of the globe refer to Christian Simpson as the coach's coach. I can tell you from my personal experience as Christian Simpson being a coach for me, a friend for me, a mentor for me, a guide for me, as I became a member of the John Maxwell team, that you are in great hands today. So Christian, again, welcome to the call, and thank you for taking time to share this important message.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Chris. And wow, I was just thinking, what a great guy that guy sounds. I couldn't have written that better myself if I tried. Thank you very much. It's very kind. But it's great to be with you, Chris, and everybody who's watching and also listening to the call today. And it's such an honor. And I'm really looking forward to sharing why right now is the time to become a coach and to build a very successful coaching practice. It's an extraordinary time, even though there's a lot of pain going about, Chris. It's the opportunities in our particular industry are extraordinary. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here and taking that time. But before we dive into our topic here, take a moment and tell us what you find most important or exciting about the times that we're in right now, because let's face it, not everyone is excited right now. And I know you have a great perspective on this.
Yeah, it's obviously these are difficult times, Chris, and no one wants to, shall we say, either minimize the challenge that we're all facing in the world right now with a virus that we have no answer to. But it's interesting when you see in these times, what you tend to see is how people really operate from within. And there's two very clear demographics for me. There are people that are coming from a place of fear, and there are many of those. And there are people that are coming from a place of growth and creativity. And when you have a look historically at any economic downturn and any global pandemic like we've had here, this is not the first time it's happened, as we know. You will see that there are people who have been able to see the opportunity in adversity. And when you're in a place of fear, a consciousness of fear, Chris, you can't see that. You're blindsided to it. And so, if we switch one mindset today on this call to move from fear to growth orientation to the creative state, there is massive opportunity in adversity. And so for me personally, I know there's a lot of uncertainty, but I have seen extraordinary growth in a lot of entrepreneurs, and particularly in the coaching industry. And I can understand how hard it is to think about the future when you're not sure of the present. But I'm so glad that we're here today, Chris, to help people understand that the opportunities that are out there, because in the midst of all of this, there are some huge opportunities and they can be leveraged right now. And this is the time. And if you really want to do it, you can turn what some people see as a disadvantage into an advantage. And one of those huge opportunities, one of the growth industries, unquestionably in the world right now, is coaching as a business. Now is a great time to be a coach and become a coach, because the one thing that we know more than any other time is that the world needs coaching and guidance and support and encouragement to help people think in a far more healthier, productive, positive way. Not surface level positivity, but from deep within, a certainty that comes and breeds confidence and clarity. Everybody needs that right now. So everywhere I turn, I'm seeing more and more people are wanting to take control of their lives, Chris, and so they can shape life on their own terms in a more fulfilled and successful way. Now, with that being said, now's a fantastic time to be the transformation agent that comes into those people's lives who are ready to take control of their lives. And as I say, there's increasingly more of them, and show them how they can transform their lives and gain control of their future. So if you've got a heart to serve people, and you and I, Chris, know that's the fundamental foundation on which you build yourself a powerful coaching business and you become a powerful influence in other people's. You'll never do this well if you don't value people. There's no better time than now, and no better place to become a coach, a world-class coach, than through the John Maxwell team.
Absolutely, Chris, and that's so true. And I mean, here's what we have to understand as we're looking at this, is that the coaching industry is the second fastest growing sector in the world. So there's a ton of opportunity in the coaching industry, especially since 95% of the coaching is delivered online anyway. So even though things may be slowing down in the market in general, we can expect to still see growth in the coaching industry, since you can coach from anywhere with a phone and a computer. So in a lot of different friends that I have inside the industry that may have been singular focused in just speaking or just live training, I've seen a sustainability in my business because this business already existed for me, in the coaching space because of help from you. So during times like these, people are looking for hope and answers all around them and from different people. But what we know from the coaching process is that the answer is not on the outside. And what people are looking for is found inside of themselves. The truth is no one's coming to save you. If you truly want a better life, if you want a better career or a better business, just like Christian said, you must take control of your own life. And we know that for most people, they need help doing this, which leads us to the heart of today's call. Christian, there's term being used a lot these days. Now, this term I think you'll find funny because, I think this has got to be a U.S. word because we pull things together and make things up. But the term is coachpreneur. And so I'd be interested in your perspective on it because I'm sure it's new to a lot of our listeners here today.
Leo, it's new to me. It's you are inventive over there in the US, huh? But I do love that creative jargon that can come out of the US. You can guarantee, Chris, we'll be using that in the UK in about a month when we catch up, because we always tend to follow you guys. But I think it's probably obvious to everybody who's listening that that's a blatant molding of two words, coach and entrepreneur. What's most important is not the word itself, but actually the practical application of what it means. You can easily be a practitioner of coaching. And at the John Maxwell team, you have my word on this. You will be trained to be a world-class practitioner of coaching because that's what I stand for. And if you know anything about John Maxwell, that's what he stands for. And so, there's one thing to be a practitioner, but you can easily be one of those, and the vast majority of our industry is, without being an entrepreneur. Most of our industry think like practitioners. They think like coaches rather than thinking like entrepreneurs who provide coaching products and services to a clearly defined audience. Now, there's a massive difference, Chris, between the two. So a coachpreneur is, as you guys refer to it, it's being used to describe someone who takes their coaching practice to another level by building a solid business model. They understand how to market effectively. They understand how to create a leverage business model that we're going to talk about in a short while. Now, this unquestionably is what holds so many coaches back who don't understand this. And it keeps them in this constant cycle of struggle, of underachievement and mediocrity. So they educate themselves in the skills of the service they provide to their clients. Of course, you've got to do that. You're not going to last long if you don't do that. But they continually fail to educate themselves on how to attract and build an audience of predisposed clients who love their message, love what they do, and value what they do. So once they've got certified and trained, rather than focusing on learning how to grow a business effectively, they focus on getting more and more practitioner skills because it comes easy to them. They're comfortable with that. And they wrongly believe that this makes them more attractive in the marketplace, and it doesn't. And then when they do get some clients, their days get consumed in trading time for money, in the delivery of the coaching service. So they never understand the concept that Michael Gerber spoke into with his E-Myth book, where they're working on the business rather than working in the business. In truth, the vast majority of people in our industry, they don't own a business. They think they do, but actually what they own is a job. And I know, Chris, because I've been that coach. Mm-hmm. And it was okay for a few years. And then eventually I ended up going under because I didn't know how important it was to have what we're discussing on the call today. Now, when you're an entrepreneur in any industry, not just the coaching industry, you must work on your business, not in it. And when you do work in it, make sure that your clients are paying the privilege of working with you personally, so you've got premier pricing and positioning taken care of. So you put vital steps in place to help you scale beyond the trading time for money model and the coaching by the hour model So you can provide products and services in multiple ways, developing multiple streams of income as a consequence. So you're earning money when you're doing other stuff, including sleeping. Now, we all love to coach. We all love to serve our clients. If we didn't love what we were doing, not only would we not be doing what we're doing at the John Maxwell team in equipping other coaches to be world-class, but we wouldn't be doing what we're doing with our clients. We love to bring what is unquestionably the most transformational process known to mankind to the people that we serve, so that they can live a far more fulfilling, meaningful, and purposeful life. However, there are only so many hours in a day, and only so many people that can be reached if a coach is limiting themselves to one-to-one interactions alone. So if you're currently coaching people one-to-one on an hourly basis, and all of the coaching comes directly from you, well, you have a limited business model. Your business cannot grow any further than the amount of hours that you can deliver those services. And the problem is not the business. The problem is not your business model. The problem is your thinking about your business and your business model. So you're not doing something else in your business when you're serving your clients. Now, you may not realize that, but when you're serving your clients, you're being hit twice, particularly if they're not paying you a premium price, because you're not doing something else in your business as an entrepreneur to grow it. That's why it's so important to ensure that any one-to-ones you are doing, from a pricing perspective, it's worth your while. And that comes down to how you're positioned in front of your audience. That said, a coach stuck in the one-to-one delivery model is putting a huge limitation on the business growth, full stop. You're putting a limitation on your earnings, on wealth, and the freedom that you can have in your life. And ultimately, what's the point of taking this entrepreneurial journey in any industry and taking all the risk if you're not going to get the reward? I don't get that at all. So what we teach here at the John Maxwell team is how to position yourself through intelligent marketing of your coaching business to be seen as the go-to expert in front of your audience, and how to build a business model beyond that one-to-one engagement by using the one-to-many model. It's not that you don't do one-to-ones. It's just that when you do, it's with the people that you choose to work with, and they pay for the privilege of having your expertise.
Oh, man, that's good. Now, look, I know your expertise on positioning and how to market a coaching business, would take us a week to go through, if not longer. So we'll have to do that another time. But share with us more about the one-to-many model, because I think this is where a lot of people have got caught, myself included, where I'm doing the one-to-one model and then I'm doing it in hour-long time blocks, and then I'm getting caught. And I remember having to make a shift. And so talk to us about more about the one-to-many model.
Sure, Chris, absolutely. It's always a learning journey, isn't it, Chris? You talked about my marketing expertise. Well, that only came from having the most painful experience an entrepreneur can have of my business going under about a decade ago, as I mentioned. And you talking about the shift in your business model, you have to live into the first model before the penny drops eventually, and you start to shift if you shift at all. The wonderful thing about what we do at the John Maxwell team is bring people to that awareness early on, and then take them through a structured way of understanding how to do this, Chris, because otherwise you start off in the business making the same mistakes over and over again that other people have made. And if you don't have the right people around you, how are you going to know that you're making the error? It's costly, it's costing you time, and that's the only thing we spend and can't earn. So what I mean, Chris, by this one-to-many model is that obviously you can connect with multiple clients at one time versus just one or two people at once. It's not the same in terms of the one-to-one engagement. However, it's powerful in a different way. It has its impact. It's not detrimental. So this is when you're providing your coaching services through group coaching calls, and perhaps you'll have weekly check-ins in between it. Or you may want to provide an online or digital coaching program. I certainly provide lots of those, where people can listen to pre-recorded content that will prepare them in advance for coaching you one-to-one, and you can provide, perhaps you provide documentation with it that has some powerful coaching questions that they can self-coach in the meantime. So with this model, you may still take on individual clients, of course, as I said earlier, but you'll be able to charge the premium pricing for that. As your time becomes more valuable, your audience recognizes you as that credible authority, and therefore you'll command a higher fee for the people that are keen to have your personal expertise. So this is truly the line of demarcation, Chris, that distinguishes the typical trading time for money coach, who is the practitioner in the mindset, to the what I call the profit maker. So the shift from the practitioner to profit maker, who is willing to learn and open up their minds to often counterintuitive ways to build a real business in this profession.
Wow, Christian, just solid gold. So I hope you guys are out there taking notes, because so far this is what Christian has said. This is what I gathered here in the notes that I'm taking. But number one is that a coachpreneur builds a business that they can work on, not in. They want to be able to work on the business, not just in the business. A coachpreneur leverages the one-to-many model, meaning that, hey, yes, you still do the one-to-one model, but yet you integrate other models, which is one-to-many. And then a coachpreneur providing individual coaching can command a higher fee. Come on, guys. Did you guys get all of that? I mean, again, just solid gold. And I know that from my own personal experience that more than any other process, coaching is very powerful when it comes to helping people see real change and achieve better results in their life. I know I wouldn't be where I am today if I did not have a coach to help me understand my potential so I can grow into the person that I wanted to be. Christian, could you tell us what impact has had working with the coach had in your life? So talk to us about coaching in your life personally.
Oh, good Lord, Chris, how long have we got? Well, let me just give an idea of if I talk into the initial transformation, because it really brings into context how different and how transformational coaching is from what I think people generally who are open to self-development might think is impactful in their lives. So if I take you back to 1995, Chris, that's when I woke up to personal growth. Somebody handed me Stephen Covey's all-time classic, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I just started reading it, and I didn't put it down for a year. I just consumed it and just couldn't stop reading it. It just lit me up like a fire. And but the interesting thing about what happened there, Chris, I didn't realize it at the time, but every time I got to the application aspect of the book, I would say, yep, I'll come back to that later. And I never did. And that's because we're programmed to absorb information and data into our conscious mind by the traditional education system. But what's interesting here, Chris, is the things that drive our habitual ways of thinking and behavior are not in our conscious intellectual mind. So the beliefs that were driving my behaviors and my habitual ways of thinking, and ultimately my results, the beliefs that are the architect of my conditions and circumstances, remained unmodified. I was not aware of them, and therefore I couldn't change them. So the next 5 years of my life, I just absorbed every single self-help book I could possibly get my hands on. I used to go raid libraries and bookstores everywhere and just build up a huge library. And that was great on one hand. I ended up knowing a lot of stuff. But the performance gap in life is between what you know and what you do. We know there's a lot of people who know a lot of stuff in the world, but they're not living successful, fulfilled lives. What changed for me, Chris, is at the turn of the century when I went to an open day for a company called the European Coaching Foundation, who are no longer with us. And before that, I'd found this website that explained what coaching was, which is how I got to the day. And the one line in that website, which I can't remember what website it was, that said that the answer is always in the individual. And that had been my experience. I was in a sales career for many years, 19 years. And that had been my experience. I hadn't ever captured it in a statement. So I went to this open day, and not only did I immediately sign up for their accreditation, this is going back to the 2000 now, I also found one of the accredited coaches in the room and hired her straight away, a lady called Susan Lynch. And just to give you an idea of the impact, Chris, when we talk about going within, we're talking about going beyond the conscious mind, because that's what coaching does with its powerful techniques, its powerful questions. Within a year, my physical weight, I'd gone from 246 pounds down to 172. My business performance the year after went from 4 million, which was my typical performance, up to 64 million. Wow. And within 4 years of working with Susan, I ran the New York Marathon and reinvented my career, stepping out of a 19-year corporate sales employment history into stepping into my purpose. Is where you find me today. Now, I could go on about lots of other transformations that went on and have gone on since, but I kid you not, the coaching process that Susan brought to me, the powers in the process, has transformed my life more than anything has ever even touched. And it was incredible. Nothing much had changed for me when I was reading all those books. I was probably the most annoying person in the world, knew a lot of stuff, but not a lot of things were changing for me. As soon as Susan brought that coaching process to me, Chris, because I went within, everything changed.
Wow. I mean, that is powerful. So, my goodness, what I'm hearing you say is two things here to our viewers and our listeners. Be sure that you get this. Now, if I'm reading between the lines here, Christian, you're really saying two things. One, you had a coach. Okay. That means that you had to be coachable. And two, there's a difference between working with the coach versus working with a mentor, teacher, or advisor. So can you share, what makes coaching unique and different from other learning modalities such as teaching, training, and mentoring? Because I know, especially when I came into this, I did not have a clarity or clear understanding of what those differentiators are. And I think that's very common in the marketplace. So talk to us about those differences between teaching, training, and mentoring.
Oh, you bet, Chris. Yeah, I mean, it's common across the world. Coaching is the most overused, misunderstood, misrepresented, and unquestionably abused term in the personal and organizational development field. And it's very different to, you often see coaching and mentoring thrown together as if they're the same thing. They are not the same thing. Not at all. Very different. At its core, coaching is a series of intentional conversations deliberately structured to empower a person to go from where they are now to where they intend to be by gaining conscious clarity, which allows them, through the coach asking some highly inquisitive, curiosity-based searching questions that the individual will never ask themselves, to go within and discover answers that they haven't been conscious of until this point in their lives. So coaching, what makes it so transformational, what makes it unquestionably the most transformational process known to mankind, is that it makes the unconscious conscious. As I said earlier with my own journey, Chris, you can't change or manage anything that you're not aware of. And all of us are living our lives with a ton of ideas that we did not originate, that we inherited from our environment, growing up from other people in our environment and other influences such as the media and authority figures, that are now no longer conscious to us, but are still playing out in our behaviors and our habitual ways of thinking. Coaching draws those into the consciousness so that we can then evaluate whether that represents who we are now and whether those ideas are still serving us. So a coach uses powerful techniques within a powerful process that allows the unconscious to be made conscious, which brings transformational change into a person's life. So one of the primary differences between coaching and consulting, for example, is that consulting tends to provide answers to the client, gives advice. Coaching doesn't do that. Mentoring tends to share previous experience as a means of helping a person move on in their lives. But here's the problem with both those models. It's not that they don't have their place, they do. But here's the problem, Chris. When you are sharing your experience with somebody, and when you are giving advice to somebody, they don't have to think. And thinking is the highest function of which we are capable. You know, for the last 6,000 years, Chris, all of the great leaders in every walk of life have disagreed on possibly every point they could disagree on, apart from one. That what you and I think about, we become. And if our thinking is being driven by ideas that we did not originate, that we are no longer aware of, don't you think that might just be a pretty risky affair if you want to take control of your life and shape life on your own terms? So coaching, to put very simply, there's a lot more to it than this. But coaching is fundamentally based on asking, whereas consulting and mentoring are based on telling. This is the key difference between those modalities. And I think this is what speaks into the true value that a coach brings to another person's life, Chris. Coaches help people draw out their own ideas of success, their own truth. It might sound ridiculous that people don't know their own truth, but Chris, I can promise you, they don't. What they know is other people's truth, or what society's truth is. They buy into ideas, values, principles that were given to them. They have never established and become conscious and discovered their own from within. When you're able to do that for another individual, when you're able to introduce them to their inner world, when you're able to help them live from the inside out rather than the outside in, which, by the way, when you live from the outside in is what you're seeing so much of in the world right now, pure fear. When you're coming from the inside out, that's where that creative, growth-orientated consciousness comes from. When you're able to do that for someone, Chris, you transform their lives. You add so much value to them. It is, to use a well-coined phrase, life-changing. And they will be willing to pay whatever price you command because they are seeing tangible, lasting transformation in their lives over and over again. They're bringing it. They're making it happen. But the point is, Chris, they're meeting the coach within a unique process that delivers that transformation. And there is nothing more powerful than this in the entire world. Not known.
Wow. That is good. I mean, this is what you're doing right now, Christian. You're helping us see why coaching is so important and how someone could earn an income by adding value to people in this way. You know, I think about this all the time, and I pinch myself thinking, man, I get paid to do this. I get paid to add value to people. I get paid to help people get better results in their lives. And I want to thank you for showing us that. But, earlier you mentioned that now is the perfect time to become a coach. You know, it seems that things become more challenging and life becomes more complex. And there are a lot of people looking for help right now. And they're wanting someone to come alongside them to sort of walk them through the process of turning their situation around. Can you speak more to this point of why now is the perfect time to become a coach?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, as you pointed out, Chris, there's a lot of pain and a lot of fear that is permeating across the world and the minds and the consciousness of individuals. You just see how delicate people are and how, quite frankly, they have very little connection with their inner world. And so if you think about, just to refer to something I mentioned earlier, I read something not so long ago, Chris, maybe in the last sort of 12, 18 months, about the amount of information that we're exposed to. And it mentioned that a person who lived at the end of the 19th century, which is not that long ago, Chris, it's 120 years ago or so, A person who lived that in that time, we're exposed to more information in a day than that person was exposed to in their entire lifetime.
Crazy.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
We don't realize how much we're bombarded with information all the time. And, you know, Chris, it's hard to, when you're living from the outside in, when it's all just coming in and it's chaotic. I mean, it's been proven by NASA that the speed of life is getting faster and faster. And you know what happens as a result, Chris? People lose control. They lose focus. They lose clarity. The war for their attention is so intense. They're getting distracted left, right, and center. And ultimately, what does that result in? Somebody feeling like they've got no confidence because they're losing direction. They've lost perspective. It's almost like they're on the bridge of the ship, their ship, as they float across the ocean, but they're not at the wheel. So any tide, any wind is taking them to any old port, if they get to a port at all. And so it's no wonder that people feel lost. I mean, particularly when something like COVID hits the world. Suddenly they're reactionary. They're not responding to life. They're reactionary, and you know, you can lose hope and get demotivated. Feelings of failure creep in, and then chaos on the outside, because you're living from the outside in rather than coming from the inside out, creates chaos on the inside, which ultimately, as your inner world creates your outer experience, recreates and reenacts chaos in your life over and over again. So, you know, having somebody who can come into your life and ask you the kind of questions that bring you the clarity, that bring you the certainty, that allows you to live from the inside out and not be at the whims of conditions and circumstances. It's not that you ignore them, Chris. No one's suggesting you be naive and just totally turn yourself off to what's going on. But as I said earlier, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, your perspective shifts. And you see opportunity where the fear-based consciousness that it's blind to opportunities can't. So it helps you refocus, it helps you regain clarity. And that, my friend, I mean, put a price on that gift. And that's the gift that people are so desperately craving right now. And they do not know where to go and get it, Chris. And if you become the person who can communicate to them in the way that helps them understand that you've got this solution to that, which we have, wow, the world is your oyster.
Wow. My goodness. So right now we see that as a coach, we can help people right now at a time when they're facing some of the greatest challenges and obstacles. And it's in times like these when there's also a profound opportunity for people to find solutions and move forward through the process of coaching. Now, Christian, this has really been helpful. And I'm sitting on the edge of my seat because I can really, truly see how a professional coach can succeed in any economy. So far, this is what you shared. You shared what it means to become a coachpreneur. You've shared right now is the time to enter the profession or grow an existing coaching practice. And number 3, how a coach can add value to people while getting paid to do what they love, which is helping people. So I'd like to focus on how the John Maxwell team prepares coaches to increase their influence and impact and income through the rigorous curriculum. You know, I remember going through your curriculum and, you know, just how deep and how in-depth it was, you know, literally having to stop and pause and go, my goodness, what did he say? I've got to go back in. This is deep, you know. So tell us how you work with people on the John Maxwell team to help them become the coaches that they want to become, or in our term today, coachpreneur.
Sure, Chris. I think you just stopped in the curriculum because this is the Queen's English and you were struggling with it. Is that right, my friend?
That's correct.
No, seriously, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's unquestionably recognized as the most comprehensive curriculum in the industry. But it's also a personal growth journey, Chris, as you know. And When I created the Maxwell method of coaching, I'd had time with John. We had worked together briefly, and obviously John at a distance had been a huge mentor to me. So my huge respect for him and my own personal standards came together to create. I just didn't want to create something that was half-hearted. I didn't want to create something that didn't honor myself and didn't honor the man that I was creating the Maxwell method of coaching for. So that's how we got to be recognized as the global leader in coaching. And I've been in the industry a long time, Chris. This is my third decade now that I'm in. And if you could see my face, what people will notice when the camera goes on later, I think it's off now. You can tell by the gray hair. And there's a lot of coaching schools in the world. I would say that a couple of them do a phenomenal job. I've got huge respect for them. Absolutely tremendous job. The vast majority of them don't at all. Absolutely dishonor the practice of coaching and don't actually provide the level of training that is required for someone to enter into this industry and be equipped in both the art and the science of coaching, because it's both of those things. What we do, not just in my opinion, but by people who have come through those schools and who have spoken to me, including, by the way, the self-anointed authority in the coaching industry, the organization behind that, and said that actually we do this so well. We do this to the highest standards in the industry. And that makes me very proud. And our track record supports it. The greatest job in the industry is not just training coaches to be world-class as a practitioner in the techniques, but it's also creating a community and environment to support them on their journey to become an amazing coach. I didn't have that, Chris, when I started. I mean, I went out there, wet behind the ears, completely green. The Old Boys Network saved me for a few years. I did very, very well. But then, as I mentioned earlier on this call, eventually it bit me on the backside and my business went under. I didn't have a community like we've got at the John Maxwell team. I didn't have the support of fantastic mentors. I had mentors, but I didn't have the amazing array of mentors and the support we've got at the John Maxwell team. And also though, Chris, we do something else as well, something equally valuable, if not more. We give our coaches the tools in which to build a successful business. No one gave me that either. I hadn't got a clue. I'd spent 19 years in corporate life, Chris, and I thought, well, it can't be that hard. This is an entrepreneurial lark. Right. You just got to be able to sell, haven't you? Well, yes, you do. But there's a lot more to it. And so, many people think technically about their role and they think like a coach. However, if they don't make that equally important mindset shift of understanding actually that the vast majority of time, when they're not in the coaching process or preparing for it, they should be thinking like an entrepreneur, not thinking like a coach. Yes, we deliver coaching services. But more importantly, we have to run a business. Otherwise, there's no coaching service to provide because we don't have any clients to serve. Very obviously, Chris, because I've lived that truth too. So for anybody who is part of the John Maxwell team family, and I don't use those terms lightly, we are a family. We see people come back to the international Maxwell certifications year in, year out, because there's a real connection there. The mentors don't hide behind the stage all day and come out and then take their glory. We're walking amongst you. We're people. We live and breathe John Maxwell's values. That's why we're his faculty. And the support is continuous. We have mentorship and ongoing that. We don't leave people just to, we don't take them through the certification process, boot them out the door and say, good luck. Right. We're alongside them continuously. And, Chris Robinson, you're the vice president of the John Maxwell team today, executive vice president, and you got onto the faculty prior to having that role because you followed that path and you embraced every opportunity we gave you and you followed everything to the letter and built a phenomenally successful business. And, every bit of success that you have today, you have thoroughly deserved, my friend. And if people, you're the perfect mentor to help people understand if they just follow the model that they get at the John Maxwell team, whatever dream is bringing them here will manifest itself by the law of cause and effect. As long as they act in accordance with their outcome, they will attract in accordance with that outcome. And you are a walking example of that, Chris Robinson, and they can go and find out more from you about that journey.
Absolutely.
So my point, I'm sorry, mate, but my point here is that, you start to, when you start to follow those proven methods, you start to attract more people, and clients are attracted to you because of your positioning and because you're part of something very, very special. So the coach is then able to take these skills into the marketplace and position them accordingly based on clients' needs rather than just talking, technical skills. And that's what it has the audience embrace the services. And that's then when you can take them from where they are now to where they would love to be. And you become that transformational agent in their lives.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so incredible. And I love what you said about the community and following the process, and I know that our coaches are seeing great success in the marketplace. Some of our coaches have been nominated for and have received awards locally and nationally. Some of our certified coaches have been accepted as contributors to Forbes magazine, which has a high standard of excellence and will only allow professionally certified coaches to join. And, I will share a little bit about my story. For those of you that don't know, I joined the John Maxwell team as a member, and became a member, 10 years ago, and immediately began putting into practice everything that Christian shared with you today. And as a John Maxwell team member, I was able to build a successful business as a coach. In fact, I still work today with private coaching clients. And, and even just a few years ago, I was recognized in my local area as by the Small Business Association as Small Business of the Year. Now, this is the SBA. This is a government achieved award, meaning that they combed through everything to make sure that I was legit. I had to turn in tax returns. I had to turn in this. I had to turn in that. But this is as a result of being a part of the John Maxwell team. It's being a part of following a process. It's being a part of being consistent. And today I'm on this call as the leader of John Maxwell team's entire program as the executive vice president. And that's because I followed the John Maxwell team's proven system to build a real business. So I can personally speak to the benefits of learning how to structure your coaching services and what it could do for you. Now, Christian, what you've said and what you say is the next step for someone who's listening. They're speaking to me. I'm ready to become a coach. What advice would you give someone who feels compelled to answer the call? Because for some of them right now listening, they're going, man, I've had this thought, this idea to be a coach, or I've had this feeling, and I feel like, I can really make an impact and a difference, and I think that I could do this. And they're ready to make that commitment to helping others through their gift of coaching. What advice would you give them for those that are feeling that way at this very moment?
Well, the first thing I'd say, Chris, from my experience, bearing in mind, as I said earlier, this is my third decade in this industry now, you have to listen to that voice. Whichever way you turn in terms of where you get yourself equipped, you have to listen to that voice. It's speaking to you for a reason. This is coming from within you. If this wasn't in your heart of hearts, if this wasn't at the core of you, you wouldn't even be listening to this message now. And I can assure you that in itself absolutely means that you can do this. You wouldn't get the idea if you weren't capable of the outcome. That I can promise you. So, and let me just say this. You don't know me personally, so I'm not going to ask you to trust me on this, but I am going to ask you to test me on it. You can do your own research into me. You'll hear me say that in every area of my work, and I mean it absolutely here with the John Maxwell team. If you want to be the best I can't imagine why you'd ever not want to be the best in anything you do in your life. We all want to be the best. If you want to be the best, you're in the right place. You have my word on that. And again, let me be very clear. I'm not asking you to trust me on it. You don't know me personally. I'm asking you to test me on it. And you can see on the screen there the place to go for you to learn how to become a world-class coach and build a real, highly profitable business is to go to leadwithjohn.com and learn more about the John Maxwell team's coaching certification. And I'm so proud to have created for John. Now, what I will say is this. Every time you decide that you're going to move forward, there are going to be challenges. There's going to be challenges on the way here. That's life's way of ensuring you become the person capable of the outcome. Life doesn't bring you what you want. It brings you who you are. And so the challenges are going to come fast and furious. And so they should, in order for you to become the person capable of the outcome that you desire, to be that world-class coach with a phenomenally profitable business. But the great news is that the John Maxwell team, you're going to have all the support you ever need as you meet those challenges. Now, the first step is to connect with others who can support your decision. People who will help you create a plan to move forward, not people who will find all the reasons they can why you shouldn't take action, because you transforming your own personal life, which, by the way, is the first responsibility and the first, let's say, qualification for you doing that in anybody else's life. Forget about technical skills. If you're not transforming your own life, how on earth do you expect to help others do it? But what's vitally important is you're going to represent something to a lot of people, perhaps people who are very close to you and love you. You're going to represent something that they're not doing in their own lives, which is growing, which is becoming more. And you need to be aware of this, because the success saboteurs are not only inside of you, the limiting beliefs that seek to keep you trapped and keep you safe in your current conditions and circumstances of your life, so they will sabotage anything representing transformation. But there's plenty of them on the outside of you too. The beauty of the John Maxwell team, it is a built-in community of peers and leaders who are invested heavily in seeing you win, not because they're invested financially, but because, as I said earlier, we are people. We live and breathe Maxwellian values around people. That's why we are working with John and have been for the last decade. That's why we collaborate as his hand-picked, chosen faculty. And you've got a community of phenomenal people, well in excess of 30,000 at the date of this recording, who are going to hold you up and support you when the inevitable times come where, you're going to face some difficulty. There's going to be so much resource coming your way, you're going to feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant. But I can assure you, you're in the right place to have the support with the right people who can give you the clarity to help you through the process with a clear blueprint and roadmap that takes you from where you are on this call, as you heard Chris Robinson speak into his experience, to being everything you aspire to be and more. Now, I passionately believe that investing in yourself is the greatest investment you'll ever make in your life. That is unquestionably true. If you want to become the best at what you do, and why wouldn't you, then it only makes sense to be around people and study and learn from people who've mastered what it is that you'd like to do, so you can learn from their mistakes, but have the awareness that comes from the mistakes, but not make the mistakes yourself, and that you can fast track your success. Now, currently, at the time of this recording, the John Maxwell team has trained just over 33,000 coaches. That number will go up increasingly quickly. And we have a step-by-step curriculum to ensure that you have all the tools necessary for you to succeed as a professional coach. Not to mention, by the way, a curriculum based on the life work of John Maxwell. Now, this call is about maximizing your influence. I might be somewhat biased here, but I'm going to say this. If you want to maximize your influence, which unquestionably you do, that's why you're on this call, you need to Maxwellize your influence. Do you like that, Chris?
Indeed, I do. That's good, man. Maxwellize your influence. I love that, man. My friend, hey, you have added a ton of value here today to us. And so, is there anything that you would love else that you would like to share to everyone here today before I get us wrapped up here?
Well, Chris, yes. Thank you very much for that. I'd love to, but I won't take too long because I think I've probably bombarded everybody with a ton of information as it is. I just want to speak to you personally, not you, Chris, but whoever is listening to this message right now, to let you know that this is possible for you more than you could possibly know. It's your decision to make the possible probable. And it's just a very simple decision to go to that URL that we shared earlier. And I can assure you, again, you have my word on this, that that's a decision that you will never regret. And you can hold me to it. Now, I'm not invested on whether you do anything in this after this call or not. But what I can assure you is it'll make no difference to the quality of my life, but it'll make every difference to the quality of yours. Now, if you're going to expect people to back themselves with you, it begins with you being willing to back yourself. And I can promise you there's no better way of doing it than what the opportunity is in front of you right here. So that's all I want to say, Chris.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christian. I mean, what a powerful and information-rich call today. I mean, it couldn't be clearer how coaching is the perfect tool to help people who want to grow and desire to become more successful, and how now is the time to become trained as a coach and to help as many people who are looking for a coach to guide them through these tough times. Now, whether you're already a coach or you aspire to become an effective business coach or life coach, there are simple truths that separate a good coach from a highly effective one. Now, the John Maxwell team gives you access and opportunity, and that simply isn't available anywhere else. If you desire to make a difference by helping other people grow, become more successful, and you want to learn how coaching can help you do this, then you want to go to leadwithjohn.com. That's leadwithjohn.com. Complete the request form, and one of our program advisors will follow up with you and answer your questions and help you make the best decision from where you are in life right now. And before we go, I want to let you know that my team and I have a very special bonus for you. Now, if you book a call with one of our program advisors and join the John Maxwell team, we have a very special masterclass just for you. This is for brand new team members that if you sign up with the program, you book a call with the program advisor, you join the John Maxwell team, we have a special masterclass. This is going to be the Jumpstart Your Coaching Business Masterclass. It will be held the first week in June, and Christian will be joining us again for a 2-hour workshop just for new John Maxwell team members, where he will walk you through each step to get your coaching business up and running quickly as possible. We want you to succeed, so we're making ourselves available to help you right from the start. So go to leadwithjohn.com, submit your request to speak with one of our program advisors, and they will get you on the path to join the team so that you can be a part of this masterclass. Now, you must enroll in the program before May 30th to qualify for this bonus, and if you join today up until May 13th, 1 week from the day, you'll receive a digital guidebook that includes the steps from the masterclass so you can get started building your coaching business as soon as you've enrolled. Now, we've covered a lot of ground today, and Christian has shared some really insightful nuggets that have certainly lifted our lids. And as we look at the opportunity before us to impact lives of others through coaching, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I really enjoyed your comments online and hearing how valuable this information has been for many of you. So be on the lookout for email of today's recording. And that's our free gift to you for taking time to be with us today. But I'm reminded of saying John Sayers frequently. He says, we cannot become what we need by remaining who we are. Now, if you want to move from where you are and become what you need to be sure to go to leadwithjohn.com to schedule a no-cost, no obligation call with one of our amazing program advisors to learn how the John Maxwell team can support your dream of helping others succeed through coaching. Again, Christian, thank you. It's always uplifting and impactful when we get to hear from you. Thank everyone for listening today. If you enjoyed the call, you'd like to be the first to know when we get more leadership development training like this. Stay connected to our community. Thanks a lot, everyone, and be well.